Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
Another accidental warehouse fire just happened, and I just know these employees feel so bad right now. This brings the total up to 5 warehouse fires in less than a week. Worst being this one that was like a toilet paper warehouse where an employee accidentally lit multiple pallets of like toilet paper on fire, totaling something like $650 million worth of damage. Just the paper products alone in that California warehouse fire was $500 million. Honestly, guys, this whole thing is so sad because what on earth are these poor billionaires and like multi-millionaires going to do? Thankfully, some of these fires that were like started on certain levels were put out by the water system. Entire night shifts were canceled. These poor multi-billion-dollar businesses, we're talking about these sweet little companies like Amazon who make on a low side $450,000 per year per employee. You do the math, these little businesses are making over $1,200 a day per employee. Some news outlets are saying the total is up to 6 warehouse fires. Guys, we're talking international. This isn't just happening in the United States. What is happening, like at this warehouse in Houston, Texas, it has got to stop. These poor rich people are going to have to spend a lot of money to rebuild. They cannot afford accidents like this to keep happening across the globe. We can't speak about everyone else in the world. Americans right now are feeling so sad for what's happening. Whole thing just breaking everyone's heart for these poor warehouse owners. There could have been a simple way all of this could have been prevented. But until then, we are keeping these uber wealthy people in our prayers.
That reeked of sarcasm.
Yeah, bro. Some guy started the fires.
New video may offer insight into the motive behind the massive fire that destroyed a giant warehouse in Ontario. Before the breaking news, our Leticia Juarez filed this report.
If you're not going to pay us enough to live or afford to live, at least pay us enough not to do this.
Arson investigators say this video posted to social media is part of their investigation into the warehouse fire early Tuesday morning in Ontario. It appears to show cases of toilet paper being set on fire, while a person repeatedly claims he isn't paid enough to live on. 29-year-old Shamil Abdul Karim has been arrested for felony arson. Police say he was working at the warehouse through a third-party company. Investigators say they are reviewing the video, but have not confirmed whether the person is Abdul Karim for the massive blaze that destroyed the more than 1 million square foot facility. Firefighters were able to contain the blaze to the building and no one was injured. Fire officials tell us arson was suspected almost immediately, based on how quick the fire spread inside the facility.
The cost of living's pushing people to breaking point, bro.
Losing 500 million's nothing to a corporation. The people that feel it are the workers. Most of them are on 0-hour contracts. If they don't work, they don't get paid.
The federal government just confirmed that they are about to start diluting your gasoline this May. So basically, the EPA just announced that starting on May the 1st, gas stations across the country can sell E15 fuel nationwide. If you're somebody that doesn't know what E15 fuel is, it's gasoline that's cut with 15% ethanol instead of just the usual 10. And you literally cannot make this up right now because they are calling it fortifying the domestic fuel supply, which is a really weird way to say that you're just going to be adding more corn juice to people's gas.
The EPA has issued emergency waivers for gasoline blends like E15.
Now this is why it actually matters to you, because ethanol has less energy than regular gasoline, so your car gets worse fuel economy on E15. The entire point of this is that you might be saving about 25 cents per gallon at the pump, but you're burning through it faster, so obviously the savings just cancels itself out. But this is the part that genuinely nobody's talking about, because the EPA normally bans E15 during the summer because ethanol evaporates faster in heat and creates more smog. They explicitly know this, but they just decided to waive their own rule that they made anyways because gas prices are high right now and people are angry. And if you're somebody that owns an older car, a lawnmower, a boat, or a chainsaw, they're saying to be careful because E15 can mess up those engines. So they're making your gas cheaper by just making it worse. Is that even surprising at this point?
This shit's getting out of hand.
Ireland are fighting back, bro.
Something big is happening in Ireland right now. A formal request for the army to be deployed has been submitted after hundreds of farmers and truck drivers have begun blocking major roads and critical infrastructure with the aim of pressuring the government to reduce the cost of fuel. In fact, according to local media, protesters have even started blocking critical oil terminals and refineries, which they say is halting about half of the country's fuel supplies from getting out to service stations. You see, right now, farmers, haulers, and small business owners say that fuel prices in the country have gotten so high that they are struggling to even operate. A spokesperson for the protesters told BBC Radio that the government support package, which was announced last month, is not sufficient. They say that what the government gave farmers and contractors was a, quote, complete and utter insult.
Do you think the government will back down?
Well, we're not. So if the government don't back down, we're staying here.
Do you think you'll continue to have the support of the public?
Yeah, we will, because everyone's hurting. It's across the board. We never thought we'd be in this situation. We thought that we would have a lot more people in aid with us, but we have the support of everyone at the minute, and we apologise for any inconvenience. This just has to be done.
Now, in response, Ireland's Justice Minister said that those who do not move their vehicles will face the full rigour of the law, and a request for the army to move these vehicles has been submitted. The protesters, however, say that they will not be backing down no matter what. So, we've reached a standoff. But of course, as the situation develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
We've got to stand with the farmers and the small businesses. Without them, what are we going to eat?
The bugs, bro. It's all part of the plan.
We just can't afford to run anymore. Diesel has just gone far too expensive, and I'm a one-man operation, and we just can't afford to run anymore. That's just it.
When you say you can't afford it to run anymore, do you think it's just not financially viable to do it?
Financially, if I keep going, I'm going to be broke, and it's just that simple.
That's our 3 trucks here, and we're going out of business. So yeah, that's just the way it is. We're actually working at the minute, but we're not making money. We're working at a loss. So we are just to try and look after customers of ours, but we're not making money.
You could definitely see it, like I know to fill the tractors, like some of the tractors it's costing €220 more to fill per fill, like, and you burn it in a day, so.
It is threatening our livelihood. We're on the edge. The competition in this game is always very tough, and we're working on very tight margins, and you know, we can't sustain this. We're better off here today than out working.
They never listen to the people.
The police are trying to remove them, bro.
Something is shifting in the Emerald Isle, and it isn't a gentle rolling of the mist. It's the sound of heavy boots on tarmac and the low hum of idling tractor engines. Right now on the streets of Dublin and across the arterial motorways of Ireland, a line is being drawn on the asphalt. On one side you have the men who keep the lights on and the people's belly full, the farmers, the truckers and the small business owners. On the other, a political class that seems to have forgotten who they actually serve. We've seen the footage, riot police moving in, shoving matches turning into brawls, and the chilling sight of military convoys moving around the country. The protests aren't just about the price of a litre of diesel anymore. The real question is, how far is the Irish government willing to go before it accidentally starts a fire it can't put out? The war in Iran and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz has sent global fuel prices skyrocketing. On top of that, they've had years of the Irish government forcing through a radical green agenda while taxing fuel to death. And the farmers and truckers have finally snapped. And right now their blockade of motorways and major roads has already triggered widespread panic buying across the country. Supply chains are running low because fuel tankers literally can't reach the petrol stations to refill them. Unsurprisingly, the Irish government's response has been to not listen. They have traded dialogue for batons. But you can't arrest your way out of an economic collapse. Every time a policeman shoves a farmer to the ground and carts him off to a cell, they're not restoring order, they're radicalising the rest of the country.
This is fucking crazy.
The Irish went back down, bro.
The Irish aren't fucking round. Roll the clip.
And I can tell you, this problem is not going away, and the only people can put this to bed is the government. And it's up to the government. And how dare they come out and say that these people that are protesting are holding the country to ransom? It's the government that's holding this country to ransom, not the protesters, not the people that should have a voice, and they're stopping them people having a voice. So come out here, be men and gentlemen, and sort this problem out. Don't be sitting back in armchairs, sitting out here looking at us and laughing at us, because we will take the laugh off of your faces. So listen to us. We want answers and we want clarification on what our requests, our demands. So please come out here and talk to us.
Basically ran out of fucking fuel, holding the Irish government to account. Buses are parked up, tractors are parked up, HGVs are parked up. Dublin has come to a standstill. People of Ireland are sick and fucking tired of the bullshit. Are sick and tired that the government are using their position, lining their own pockets, rather than giving back to the people. Because what the government forget, it's that these people are the backbone of the country. And without them, there is no fucking country, is there? People that keep the country moving. Enough is enough of the cost of living reduced. We want the fuel price to come back down. That's not unreasonable. Other countries can do it, and so can Ireland. And so can the UK. The rest of the UK actually follow suit? I don't know. I'll tell you something. This is how you fucking do it.
Since when do the police cover their faces? They're clearly ashamed of what they're doing.
I told you, bro. It's all part of the plan.
To understand what's happening in Ireland, it's important to look at the agenda, because this will tell you how important this fight is and why we should all stand with the Irish. The global agenda is divide, rule, take as much land as possible, cram everyone into a 15-minute city, and get them on a digital control grid to track, trace, and enslave. For Ireland, the spark was using the war in Iran as a pretext to manufacture a fuel crisis that made it impossible for farmers and truckers to survive. But this is not the first time the ruling class is doing this. They did the same thing to farmers in France, Germany, and the Netherlands with heavy climate regulations. It's done by design. In 2019, Ireland banned oil exploration for climate reasons, so they stay dependent on the global network, even if they could use the Barry Row oil field and be independent. The state manufactures scarcity to keep us afraid and make us believe that we're all in this together. But no. They're in this for themselves and for the global agenda. And now they send the Darth Vader riot police to shut down peaceful protesters while threatening persecution even after the protests. They're doing that because they're scared. They know that when people unite, there's nothing they can do. Ireland has less than 5,000 prison spaces and 7,000 soldiers. And between farmers and truckers, they have over 350,000 people plus millions supporting them. What are they gonna do? Shoot their own people? They can't. And that's how the people win. Unity on the issue and the courage to show up. This is not the end for the Irish. It's the beginning of something much bigger.
Seems like the whole world's at boiling point.
I'm telling you, bro. It's Agenda 21.
Master plan originated at the United Nations to change the political and economic system of the world to one of total collectivism. And in order to do that, people must not be allowed to have independence. They must be dependent on the state for everything. Otherwise, they won't be controlled by the state. That means they can't have private property, cannot have land of their own. They have to live in, preferably, high-rise apartments that are provided to them by the state as a benefit, so to speak. Oh, good, we got a free apartment. But these people at the top want all humans to be dependent on the largesse of the state. That means that they don't want anybody living out in the boonies. Anybody that's got a couple of acres of land and his own water supply and can grow his own food or have some sheep or some chickens, these people are a threat because they aren't going to go to the politicians and say, please feed me, please clothe me, please give me shelter. That's the secret behind Agenda 21. They want people out of the country. They want corporations out there growing all the food. In order to control mankind, we have to get them all into the big cities. We have to rack them up and stack them up, get them dependent on the state. That's the dirty secret.
Seems like they're winning.
Fuck that, bro. They're fast-tracking it because they're going broke.
So the United Nations is going broke because the countries aren't paying their dues? Watch.
The Secretary General has, as you know, repeatedly made clear the problem both of non-payment of dues by member states and the related problem of the UN being forced to repay member states for budget expenses that it does not budget money that it does not spend. So those two factors have put us on an unsustainable trajectory. Although more than 150 member states paid their dues last year, we ended 2025 with a record $1.56 billion in outstanding dues, which is more than double that of the previous year. So unless either the payments come in or we're not compelled to spend, to return the monies that we are not able to spend because we didn't receive the budget.
Okay, first of all, can they hire someone else to do this press conference? Because this guy can barely talk. Secondly, it looks like the United Nations, I guess, is just going to have a falling out.
We need a new version of the UN that ain't corrupt.
They're not going to let that happen, bro.
This is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. It is the inventory and control plan of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that, well, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into concentrated city centers and clearing them out of the rural areas. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. Because when systems don't meet, when they're out of balance or not in sync with one another, they can't be controlled centrally. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit.
This is terrifying.
It's the new world order, right?
But we are in trouble, and we all need to pull together on this. I first stumbled across Agenda 21 in about 2008, and quite frankly, my first reaction was to dismiss what I was reading because I didn't believe that any government in Australia would take us down this road. Then I began to see a legislative pattern emerging in Parliament which concerned me greatly, and I also started to see the tenor of legislation that we were passing. I did air those concerns in Parliament, and it was dismissed and ignored. Ladies and gentlemen, the origins of the environmental movement as we see it began back in 1968 when the Club of Rome was formed. The Club of Rome has been described as a crisis think tank which specialises in crisis creation. The main purpose of this think tank was to formulate a crisis that would unite the world and condition us to the idea of global solutions to local problems. In a document called The First Global Revolution, authored by Alexander King and Bertrand Schneider, on pages 104 and 105, it stated, "In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine and the like would fit the bill."
They push this green agenda, but we had the solution over a decade ago.
Yeah, bro. The divine herb.
You are looking at a plant that can fuel every engine you own. Diesel truck, gasoline car, generator, tractor, lawnmower, every single one. And the Amish in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, are growing it right now, legally, in the same fields their ancestors planted 300 years ago. Because this one plant does not produce one fuel, it produces two, one for diesel engines, one for gasoline engines, no modifications to the vehicle, no special parts, no trip to a mechanic. The plant is hemp, industrial hemp, cannabis sativa. And I need to be clear about something right now, because the confusion between hemp and marijuana was manufactured on purpose. Industrial hemp contains less than 0.3% THC. That is the psychoactive compound You could smoke an entire bale of industrial hemp and feel nothing but a sore throat. Hemp seeds contain roughly 30 to 35% oil by weight. That oil can be extracted with a simple cold press, the same kind of press people use for olive oil or sunflower oil. Once you have the oil, it can be converted into biodiesel through a basic chemical process called transesterification, and it is ready to pour into any diesel engine ever manufactured. Not a modified engine, not a special engine, any diesel engine. Because the diesel engine was never designed to run on petroleum in the first place, Rudolph Diesel built his engine in the 1890s in Germany. He filed his patent on the 28th of February 1892. The fuel he envisioned was plant oil. Diesel wrote that his engine could be fed with vegetable oils and would help considerably in the development of agriculture. He dreamed of a world where any farmer could grow fuel in his own field.
This could have changed everything.
That's why they took him out, bro.
On the 29th of September 1913, Rudolph Diesel boarded the post office steamer Dresden in Antwerp, Belgium. He was traveling to England to meet with the British Royal Navy about installing his engines in their submarines. He ate dinner on the ship. He retired to his cabin at 10 in the evening and left word to be woken at 6:15 the next morning. When the steward knocked, the cabin was empty. The bed had not been slept in. His nightshirt was neatly laid out. His watch was positioned where it could be seen from the bed. His hat and overcoat were found folded beneath the railing at the stern of the ship. 10 days later, a Dutch fishing crew found a body floating in the North Sea. It was too decomposed to identify. They took the personal items from his pockets. His son later confirmed they belonged to his father. The newspapers printed two kinds of headlines that week. Some said "suicide," others were darker. Inventor thrown into the sea to stop sale of patents to British government. Murdered by agents from big oil trusts. We may never know the full truth about what happened on that ship, but consider the timing. The man who invented the most efficient engine in history, who publicly stated that vegetable oils would become as important as petroleum, who was days away from giving the British Navy an engine that ran on crops instead of crude oil, vanished into the sea. And after he was gone, nobody at the engine companies pushed to keep plant oil as the standard fuel. Nobody asked farmers what they thought. The petroleum companies simply stepped in, adjusted the fuel systems, and made diesel fuel from crude oil the default. Within a decade, every diesel engine in the world was burning petroleum. The engine designed to free farmers became the machine that chained them to an oil company, and nobody stopped to ask why.
Every farmer could have been self-sufficient, and now we're fucked.
Henry Ford tried to tell people, bro.
After you harvest hemp seeds for oil, you still have the entire stalk, thousands of pounds per acre of woody, fibrous material. That stalk is rich in cellulose. Through a process called cellulolysis, the cellulose is broken down into simple sugars. Those sugars are fermented. The fermentation produces ethanol, the same type of alcohol that is already blended into the gasoline you buy at the pump right now. Henry Ford understood this before almost anyone in the country. In 1908, his Model T was designed to run on gasoline, ethanol, or any combination of both. Ford told the New York Times in 1925 that the fuel of the future was going to come from fruit, from weeds, from sawdust, from almost anything. He said, "There is fuel in every bit of vegetable matter that can be fermented and enough alcohol in 1 year's yield of an acre of potatoes to drive the machinery necessary to cultivate the fields for 100 years. In August 1941, Ford unveiled a prototype car with body panels made from hemp, soy, wheat, straw, and flax bound together with resin. Popular Mechanics featured it. The New York Times reported on it. The panels were lighter than fiberglass. Ford demonstrated the strength on camera by swinging an axe into the trunk lid. The axe bounced back. The panel did not dent. The car was designed to run on hemp ethanol. Ford brought George Washington Carver himself to help with the development. He envisioned a vehicle grown entirely from the soil and powered by the same soil. He was 77 years old and swinging an axe at a car he believed would change the world, but by 1941, it was already too late.
They'd already made it illegal, bro.
Still is in most countries.
In 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act was signed into law. Notice the spelling, marijuana with an H. That was a deliberate choice. The word was Mexican slang, and Harry Anslinger, the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, used it because most Americans had never heard it. If he had called the plant cannabis, every doctor in the country would have recognized it. If he had called it hemp, every farmer would have. By calling it marijuana, he severed the connection between a useful crop and the law designed to kill it. Before taking the narcotics job, Anslinger had publicly stated there was no greater absurd fallacy than the idea that cannabis caused violence. He did not believe it was a problem. But Prohibition ended in 1933, and the Department of Prohibition he oversaw was about to disappear. He needed a new enemy. Cannabis became that enemy. And he had friends who needed it, gone for entirely different reasons. William Randolph Hearst owned newspaper chains, timberland, and paper mills across the country. Hemp produced paper cheaper and faster than wood pulp. It was a direct threat to his business. The DuPont family had just patented nylon and a new chemical process for making paper from wood. Hemp fiber competed with nylon. Hemp paper competed with the wood pulp process. Andrew Mellon, the Secretary of the Treasury and the wealthiest man in America, had invested heavily in DuPont. Mellon was also Harry Anslinger's father-in-law. He had personally appointed Anslinger to the narcotics position. And then there was Standard Oil, the Rockefeller empire, built on petroleum.
They've been fucking us for over a decade, bro.
This is something that worked. People used it, and the greed of a few people killed it.
A fuel called Agrol was selling at 2,000 service stations across the American Midwest. 2,000 stations from Indiana to South Dakota. Agrol was an ethanol gasoline blend made at a plant in Atchison, Kansas, backed by the same Comergy movement Ford had championed. 2 blends were available. Agrol 5 had 5 to 7% alcohol. Agrol 10 had 12.5 to 17.5% alcohol. The plant had been financed by the Chemical Foundation and opened in 1936. By 1937, motorists across the heartland were filling up with it. The brochures said, "Try a tankful, you will be thankful." The fuel worked, it sold, customers came back. And then the managers of the Atchison plant started reporting something they could not ignore: sabotage, market manipulation, vicious infighting from the petroleum industry. Agrol sold for 17 cents a gallon, leaded gasoline sold for 16, a penny difference. The oil industry lobbied against every tax incentive bill that could have closed that gap. The American Petroleum Institute publicly attacked ethanol as inferior fuel. By 1939, the Atchison Agrol plant closed its doors. 2,000 stations vanished from the map. An entire fuel infrastructure, built by farmers, for farmers, erased in under 3 years.
It always comes back to greed and oil, bro. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold up, Ted, we've got to do the giveaway.
Leave a comment for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bang bang!
Bang bang!
Contact us on our website to claim your prize.
That's terrortedstowers.com. Go grab some merch, bro.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.